Here we have 1141 Donation Avenue. It's a 2-story framed house, 2-bedroom house with actually 2 bathrooms. I didn't even know it had 2 bathrooms. As you're looking at the pictures in the background to this narration, this house is in Youngstown, Ohio. And I only bought the house for $5,000. I bought it right over the internet on eBay. How funny is that? It needed a full landlord rehab. Had a lot of bad plaster. We patched where we could. Where we didn't, we just ripped it down and re-drywalled. The wiring is still old, but the lights work. This house sat vacant, by the way, after I finished all the work for about a year. I don't know. Just couldn't rent it. And finally, I rented it. I get $500 a month. It's a low-income house, and it's a low-income tenant. I don't buy a lot of these kind of real low-income houses anymore. I buy a lot of middle-income homes, and I have homes all over the country. To give you a little rundown, you can see the paintwork, and you can see the demo, and you can see my worker, Rick. Rick is just a guy I got off Craigslist, and he was able to send me pictures every day of the work he did. Of course, I never paid him until I got the pictures, and then I double-checked all his work. I like to do something called proof of work. I know you've heard that term if you're a techie and you're following the blockchain. They have something called proof of work. My proof of work is really pictures or inspections with pictures, things like that. I have my own way for finding out if the work's done and done right. You got to remember, I've been doing this for 40 years. I bought my first house at 18, so I've seen it all. Of course, I've been ripped off by contractors. I've had them steal stuff. When you're dealing with these fly-by-nights on Craigslist, they're all unlicensed. Many of them live day to day. They have no money, no bank accounts. But these are the people I'm used to dealing with, and these are the kind of people that you can get to work for you for, I don't know, average price 10, 12, 15 an hour. 20 an hour is probably the tops I've ever paid people. And for 20 an hour, we're talking about a guy that can do electrical, plumbing, up to code, framing, roofing. He can do everything. If you really look at what workers get, if you work for a roofing company and you're just a roofer and you know how to do a roof but you don't own the company, you're probably getting 15 to 20 an hour. So we pay the going labor rate. What we try to do is avoid paying the contractor profit. You have to kind of be your own contractor. Because if you're going to pay a contract, you're going to make any money. There's 2 sides of the coin to buying cheap homes. One, of course, you got to steal the house. And number 2, you got to get a great bargain on the work, but the work has to be done right. Can't pay a guy $10 an hour to do work, find out that the work is done wrong and you have to rip it out. On this house, we repainted kitchen cabinets. We put a brand new countertop on. We did run new plumbing where needed. We used the new modern flex pipe, which is really easy to install. We bought a pretty sink. We bought a pretty faucet. Same with the bathroom. We redid the bathroom with a brand new toilet, a new shower, fiberglass enclosure. Again, new water lines and new drain lines running all the way down the house, but then tapping into the old cast iron that goes out to the street. So kind of look at the pictures. I probably spent more than I should have on this house. I tell people everything. I probably spent on this house with materials and labor in excess of $12,000. So I'm all in on this house for probably around $20,000. And I would have liked to have been all in, all rehabbed, brand new, more closer to 15. So that just means it'll take a few more years to get back my money. Now, let's take $500 a month on the rent times 12 if you get 12 months a year, but that's $6,000 a year. So it's going to take 3 years for this house to pay for itself. I've had a lot of great deals on houses where the houses pay for themselves in 2 years. That's a real bargain. Let's give you an example. I've got a house in Salisbury, Maryland. It's worth 120 grand today. Well, I bought it for less than 20,000, and I have all the paperwork to show. I bought it cash at an auction, and I probably put 10 in it. So I have less than 30,000 in a single family house that is bringing me $1,200 a month. Now, $1,200 a month times 12 months, you're looking at over $14,000 a year. In 2 years, I've got all the money back for that house. But that house is also worth over 100 grand, 5 times what I paid and about 3 times what I have in it. That's 300% return on investment. Now, back to this house, Youngstown, Ohio, not the case. I just was experimenting. I saw a house on eBay. I never bought one before. There's some good and bad to it. eBay, first of all, does not guarantee any real estate transactions. You could send your deposit in. The guy could take off with it, and eBay won't even help you. I learned that on another house. But you do have a real closing with the title company, and you get title insurance, and that was the case with this one. Not a bad little house. It's fixed up now that if I have a decent tenant, I shouldn't have to do too many repairs for a long time, except some exterior stuff like gutters and painting. So even when things don't go as planned, if you buy right, you should end up right. You may not get out of your house in a month or a year, but in 2 or 3 years, you may be able to break out of it and make a nice profit. So that means that money that you have in the house comes back to you at a later time. What the hell? As we keep moving along on the Youngstown, Ohio house, understand a couple of things. The first is these type of properties require expert management skills. They're only advised for someone that has been in the business, knows how to get the work done cheap, and knows how to manage a house with a low-income tenant. And everybody can't do that. The only interesting thing is the rewards are very lucrative most of the time at the end of the road. This house I'll never make a fortune on. Maybe I'll get $30,000 or more for it to an investor, because there's a lot of investors who buy houses, and if it pays itself back in 5 years, that's a good deal for them. So this house will work. Anyway, it's Donation Avenue, Ohio, a house I bought on eBay. And that's the story.